My name is Kristen. Standing here at the Veterans Day ceremony, looking out at the crowd, memories flood back like a raging river. It's been 6 months since that fateful day when I finally got justice for my father and myself. But to understand how I got here, I need to take you back to the darkest days of my life. I grew up in a small town, a place where everyone knew everyone else's business. My father, Captain Ethan Thompson, was a hero. He served our country bravely in the war, but he never made it back home. I was just 6 years old when the military officers came to our door, delivering the devastating news. I remember my mother's heart-wrenching scream, a sound that still haunts me to this day. After my father's death, my mother couldn't cope. She started dating a man named Victor a few months later, and by Christmas, he moved into our house. Victor was a cold-hearted man, and his daughter, Lily, was only a year younger than me. My mother changed completely after she married Victor. She became distant, as if she was trying to forget about my father. My father's photos came down from the walls, and all his military memorabilia was packed away. I tried to keep a small photo of him, but my stepmother, Melissa, found it. She ripped it right in front of me, telling me to stop living in the past. That moment was like a knife in my heart. From then on, I learned to keep my feelings to myself. In school, I was the quiet one. Teachers thought I was mature for my age, but they had no idea that I had to grow up fast just to survive in that house. At parent-teacher conferences, Melissa would show up with Lily on her hip, smiling that fake smile, while I sat in the corner, feeling like an outsider. As I got older, my life became a never-ending cycle of chores. When Lily was born, I became the built-in babysitter. I would wake up at 5:30 every morning to make breakfast for Lily, pack her lunch, and get her ready for school. After school, I would help her with homework, make dinner, do the laundry, and clean the kitchen. Melissa worked part-time at a beauty salon, and Victor worked at a factory, but somehow, I was the one taking care of everything. On Christmas, Lily would get expensive gifts like a brand new laptop or a designer dress, while I would get a cheap scarf or a used book. Melissa would say, "You're so practical, Kristen. You don't need fancy things." I would smile and say thank you, but inside, I was breaking. I started working part-time at a local coffee shop when I was 16. I saved every penny I earned in a shoebox under my bed because I didn't trust Melissa and Victor with my money. I told myself that if I could just make it to 18, I would be free. But then, on my 18th birthday, everything changed. Melissa and Victor threw a party, or so I thought. The house was filled with their friends and neighbors, people I barely knew. There was no sign of any of my friends. I spent the whole morning setting up the party, cleaning the house, and blowing up balloons. Melissa kept reminding me how much everything cost, as if I was supposed to be grateful. At dinner, there was a thick white envelope at my place setting. Everyone was looking at it, and I could tell they knew something I didn't. After we cut the cake, Melissa stood up and started a speech. She talked about how hard it was when my father died, how she and Victor had taken me in and given me everything. The lies just rolled off her tongue. Then, she slid the envelope towards me and said, "Now, it's time for you to understand what family really costs." I opened it to find a bill for $182,000. It listed all the supposed expenses of raising me over the years: housing, food, education. At the bottom, it was signed by Melissa. She looked me in the eyes and said, "The cost of raising you after your useless father got killed in the war. Now that you're an adult, you're going to pay us back every cent." Victor raised his glass, and the whole room burst into laughter. It was like a nightmare. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just folded the bill, put it in my pocket, and walked out. I walked 6 blocks to my best friend Sarah's house. She opened the door, saw my face, and pulled me inside. When I showed her the bill, she was furious. We spent the next hour researching online and found out that parents can't legally bill their children for basic care. The next day, my phone was blowing up with missed calls and messages. But I didn't care. I knew they were panicking. Then, I got a text message from an investigator named Agent Laura Smith from the Department of Veterans Affairs. She said they were conducting an investigation regarding the survivor benefits paid in my name after my father's death. It turned out that my father had a military life insurance policy worth $400,000 and monthly survivor benefits. All of that money had been deposited into Melissa's account, and she had never reported how she spent it. The total amount of money she stole from me was $621,520. I decided to fight back. I went back to the house when I knew Melissa and Victor would be out. I found a box in the garage that had my father's military uniform, his medals, and 25 letters he had written to me from the war zone. He had written about how much he missed me and how he couldn't wait to come home. Melissa had kept these letters from me for all these years. I took photos of all the evidence I could find, including a detailed plan Melissa had written about how she spent my father's death benefit on a new car, a vacation home, and Lily's college fund. There was not a single cent set aside for me. When Melissa found out I had taken the evidence, she launched a smear campaign against me. She told everyone I was unstable and that I had stolen military items. But I didn't let her intimidate me. I contacted a lawyer recommended by Agent Smith, a former military lawyer named Mr. Ryan Davis. He was shocked by the evidence and said we had a strong case. Meanwhile, I also found out that my paternal grandparents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, had been trying to see me for years. Melissa had filed a restraining order against them, saying they were harassing me. I finally got in touch with them, and when they heard what had happened, they were furious. They offered me a place to live and all the support I needed. As the case progressed, local news picked up the story. The community was outraged. People were appalled that someone could steal from a fallen soldier's child. At the Veterans Day ceremony, I was asked to speak. I stood at the podium, looking at the crowd, and I told my story. I held up one of my father's letters and read it out loud. I showed the bank statements of the money that had been stolen. I held up the birthday bill and said, "This is what they called the cost of raising me." But what they really stole was my childhood, my memories of my father, and my future. The crowd erupted in applause. Melissa tried to interrupt, but she was stopped. The truth was finally out. A few days later, Melissa and Victor were arrested on federal charges of fraud, theft, and witness intimidation. In the civil court, the judge ruled in my favor. I was awarded $850,520 in damages. Although I didn't get back all the money they had stolen, it was a start. Lily and I are slowly rebuilding our relationship. She was just as much a victim of Melissa and Victor's lies as I was. I now live with my grandparents. My father's room has become mine, and his medals hang on the wall. I've started a scholarship in my father's name to help other children of fallen soldiers. It's a way to honor his memory and make sure that what happened to me never happens to anyone else. If you're going through something similar, I want you to know that you're not alone. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're a burden. You deserve love, respect, and justice. Stand up for yourself, because the truth will always prevail.